Hello and welcome. In this video, I will be giving you a guide on how to run the adventure MagicPunk The Heist by FeverDreamStudios. It's me. It's by me. I wrote the adventure. If you haven't already seen the overview video, which explains what the adventure is about, you can go ahead and watch it. It'll be In this video, I will be going through each section of the document and giving you tips and advice on how to make it run more smoothly, on how you might make it your own a little bit or adjust it to your players. I'll be giving you advice on how to adjust combat to make it easier or more difficult. I'll be giving you some ideas and some suggestions based on my own personal experience on how to make sure that it runs for 4 hours and doesn't go over to 8. um, I will also be giving some music recommendations as well. If you like to play music during your adventures, then something that I feel sets the tone as well. Um, right. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, let's just ow. I do really value your feedback. Feedback's how everybody gets better at stuff. So if you have any comments on this adventure, you can fill out this Google form. You can comment on this video. You can reach out to me on Twitter. You can reach out to me on Twitch. Links to everything will be in the description of this video. And by the way, I'll be making more adventures every month. So if you're interested in that, then feel free to subscribe to this channel and drop a like on this video if you're getting value out of it. So this is the background on the setting of Zigna. If you're not running it in Zigna, if you're running it in Eberron, for example, then you don't need to worry about this. There's not too much more information that's absolutely necessary to the adventure other than what's in here. And if you wanted more information for yourself, that's um, we have an appendix for that. Uh, in this appendix, I talk about Zigna as I envisioned it. Um, but make it your own. Whatever you'd like to change about it, feel free to do so. As with any adventure, I would recommend reading the background information before you start running it. It comes with 8 pre-generated characters. These generated characters all have been designed to fit within the setting of Zigna. So if you're choosing to run the adventure within Zigna, and you're like, oh, well, how do I make sure that the characters all fit in? Well, 8 pre-generated. You don't have to run all of them, but you can choose whichever ones you'd like. Some of these characters are actually the characters that my players ran. That my players used when I ran this adventure for them. There's also a map pack on DM's Guild, which I will also link below for this adventure. If you want to run it in Eberron, if you wanted to actually run it in just any pre-existing setting, I would recommend running it in Eberron. It is the closest in terms of magic technology and setting stuff like that. Um, Relatively straightforward. You can either rename or reflavor the Hail Hands and the Veritas Corporation to whatever factions you know of in Eberron. You can just drop them in as is, and that's fine as well. The only thing you'd really need to change are the Keepers of the Peace. Um, Off the top of my head, I don't know if they have stone golems running around Eberron, but if you want them to, you can. It's your adventure. It's your world as a dungeon master. Um, if you are running it in Eberron, the heirs of Arcanus not really directly related to this adventure, so you don't need to worry about them too much. In Ravnica, um, you just switch out the Veritas Corporation for the Demir Guild. They're a bunch of secret keepers if you want. Um, you could have them as your own little faction with devils running around if you wanted to. Or heck, put in Rakdos if you're feeling spicy. It's up to you. And then I have a little section here on if you wanted to put Zigna in your own world, you just drop it in. It works best as a little floating city above a volcano on an island, because it is a bit insular by design. But of course, if you want to make changes, make whatever changes you'd like. So this adventure hook has been written for Zigna. If you have a pre-existing campaign that you're trying to segue into this one, um, probably this is where you're going to need to do a bit of work in advance to figure out How, why do they need to get to Zigna? Why are they being contacted by the heirs? Not the heirs, the Hail Hands. But honestly, use your imagination. The important things to know when you're making your own hooks is that they just need to steal from the Veritas Corporation. If you want a different group to give them that quest, make it your own group. Make it somebody they already know. It's up to you. Um, you can lean away from the Undercity if you don't like it, if it doesn't fit within what you want to do. Heck, if you just want to take the Veritas Corporation tower and the airship and just put it wherever you like, you can do that as well. So I give a little overview here. Nothing much to say about this. Um, so for the prologue, you might find it a bit prescriptive if you have, your own adventure hook. Feel free to completely change the prologue. But my view on mini adventures, on one shots, is that you know the players they're going if they don't accept the adventure hook, then why are you running this adventure? They just that's it, done. 10 seconds in and out. um but my view is you might as well get all of the the background setting, the setting, if you will, out of the way, just to sort of describe it to them. The key points, the only thing that you really need to emphasize is the intel. The intel is the most important part um, of this particular section. This is the backbone of a good heist has good intel. Uh, when it comes to combat in general for this adventure, I do recommend that you give them silvered weapons, that whoever gives the party the quest gives them silvered weapons, because all of the enemies that they're going to be fighting are going to be devils. And it's going to make the heist feel a bit smoother. It's going to make sure that combat doesn't drag on too long. Um, Especially when it comes to the chain devil. The chain devil can really slow things down if they don't have silvered weapons. One question that I got is, what, as a DM, what information can I freely give the players, and what information about the setting should I maybe keep a secret? Um, Ultimately, it's up to you. My suggestion is the nature of Veritas Corporation and what it does, being a magical research. The only thing that they need to know is that it's a magical research and development organization. Um, in terms of what uh, that it's run by devils, I would recommend keeping that a bit of a secret. Just for a surprise. But giving them silvered weapons is going to hint at it. But if asked, the patron is just going to say, oh, just in case, it's been known to be effective against a wider variety of enemies. And you don't have to say much more than that, especially since you're not going to give them magic weapons unless you want to. You know, more power to you if you want to. An important note for the DM: when devils are killed on the material plane where this adventure takes place, their body disappears in a puff of sulfur and brimstone and reappears in the nine hells instantly at full health. Now, if you like, and this is how I ran it, the Veritas Corporation, since it's run by devils, has a direct link um, to the nine hells, so it's very possible for a devil to be killed and a few minutes, maybe even 15, 20 minutes later, be able to get back to the tower, knowing where the players are, and being able to trigger the alarm if they haven't already, which can be quite fun. So with the prologue, it is intended to essentially just introduce, this is where you're going, this is where you're headed, this is what your task is. Um, the This is also a part for your players to start scheming. So that's why it's important to give them the intel as soon as possible. And then the next part is entering the tower. So this section can be, in terms of how long it takes, can be relatively quick actually. So if you find your players are breezing by the entering the tower section, don't panic. Don't worry, there'll be lots of things to slow them down, because you can get through this section with one or two good, uh, deception checks. You can get right to the vault. If you're if you lose, if you fail those deception checks, then you might get into combat. That might slow things down. Um, but essentially, in this section, that this is where they arrive, and then they have to decide which entrance are they going through. So there are three entrances. There's the service entrance, the visitors entrance, and the employee entrance. Now, um, I also got some feedback that it might be helpful to include a little visual, and for future adventures that I publish, I might as well do that. But for this one, I had a piece of artwork commissioned to to demonstrate the layout of this tower. Let's pull it up right here. Yeah, right here. Perfect. So as you can see, this is the catwalk. This represents the catwalk that the players will have been dropped off onto. So the platform would be somewhere over here where you can't see, and then they make their way over to the catwalk. And the catwalk extends all the way to the visitors entrance, so there's no need to jump or anything. And there's just some doors, and you can walk through. And that's on the 12th floor. Service entrance is on ground floor, so this is where the keepers of the peace might be wandering around. This is where general foot traffic in Zigna or Sharn, if you want to, would be. The 15th floor is where the employee entrance is, and it's meant to be essentially a door that's just a huge window. Still the same sliding doors. Most, if not all, of the employees within the Veritas Corporation Tower are devils, and most of them have access to flight. So a lot of them will be going through this entrance. It's possible if the players took the fly spell, or if they have innate flying speeds, then they might be able to get up there. But it is intentionally meant to be, you need to be able to fly to get through that entrance. Just a good thing to know. But this is essentially a little a little layout. Um, the building itself doesn't have any stairs or windows. So if the players are looking for that, then it's good for you to know that there are no stairs or windows. There are no stairs or windows mentioned in the document, and that is intentional. So the only way to travel through the tower is by elevator. So first, let's take a look at the reception area. Nope, just kidding. So first, let's take a look at the service entrance. Um, the service entrance is basically where any deliveries arrive for the Veritas Corporation Tower. It's defended by this Cambion again. So all of these, you can look them up in the monster manual, the bolded monsters. There are no deliveries scheduled for the day that the characters arrive, so that's already one. That's already a roadblock for trying to convince their way to get in. Um, but essentially, it's just one set of doors, an inspection area, and then the service elevator with this Cambion walking around. Each entrance has one character that has the ability to call the alarm. Um, Cambion can call the alarm, the receptionist can call the alarm, and the security guard at the employee's entrance can call the alarm. Can trigger the alarm by pressing a little button that they carry on them. Um, One of the challenges with the service entrance is that the players are dropped off on the catwalk level, so they're gonna have to figure a way to get down. Maybe they can take an elevator in another building to go down if they really want to go into the service entrance. The visitors entrance is most likely where they will try to go, and it's actually the easiest way to get in, because all you need to do is go to the receptionist, convince them that you have an appointment or that you need to get to the vault and it's important. um, and how they go about doing that is up to them. It's up to you to decide what you think is a good enough reason, so I leave that up to you. All right. So for the employees entrance, as I had mentioned before, there are no stairs leading up to it. It's just basically a large window. This area is guarded by the Barbed Devil security guard. This one, probably in terms of their behavior, a bit more confident in their combat abilities. So whereas the imps might just immediately press the button if something goes down, This one might get into combat first, try to sort of, show them up, like, yeah, get lost, get out of here. Before, if they start losing the fight, calling security. Most of these creatures um, aren't really. I should say all of the devils are not really too concerned about dying because they're on the material plane. They're just gonna pop back over to the nine hells. Not too concerned about that. But essentially, if you do not have employee ID, then the security guard will not let you in. If the characters forge their employee ID, then maybe you could call for a forgery check and maybe have a DC around 12 or 13 or something like that. But ultimately, DC is up to you as the DM. So, just a note about the storage room and indeed about the vault when we get to that. When these rooms are both endless in the sense that you can just walk infinitely down them. They are sort of extra dimensional kind of spaces um, that have been sanctioned by Zigna, and so you can walk forever and just keep going into more room. However, the magic of this room and the vault is such that um, no matter how far forward you walk, it's basically pretty easy to get back to the exit. So you can always just walk back another 30 feet and then you are at the elevators again for the storage room. Um, and we'll see what the case is for the vault next. The vault here, this section, I imagine to probably take the most time. If your players had a combat encounter in the entering the building section, then you're going to want to try and streamline this section as much as possible. And by that, I mean, once they get past the Chain Devil, um, try not to throw another combat encounter at them until they start escaping in the airship. Otherwise, they might slow things down. If you have time, if you don't mind running for 6 hours, then another combat encounter that makes sense, such as security catching up to them, especially if they stay in the vault longer than absolutely necessary, then that makes sense. So, just to summarize, if they had combat before the vault, streamline the vault, just the chain devil. If they manage to breeze by the entering the building section and they manage to convince the chain devil to let them in, then on the way out of the vault, that's when you throw in security. If they manage to get past the entering the building section without combat and they get into combat with the chain devil, this is working as intended, and you don't need to be too concerned. So, a note on running combat for the Chain Devil is that they have access to the animate chains option. They can animate 4 chains. They should use those chains to grapple and restrain their enemies. And just be mindful that if a chain is restraining an enemy, then it cannot make another attack. They just take damage at the beginning of their turns. But the Chain Devil always has access to its 2 chain attacks in the base stat block. So again, similar to the storage area, the vault is one of those extra dimensional endless spaces where you can keep walking past the chains for however long you'd like, and you turn around, boom, the chain wall is still always there, not too far away. Every heist has a twist, or typically heists have a twist, and the twist here in this heist is that the contract is not a piece of paper, it is a humanoid creature with the contract tattooed into their skin. If you are interested in learning more about this infernal contract, the damned wretch as it is called, then you should look it up in Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. That's where I got it from. Finding the contract, which one it is a matter of succeeding on an investigation check. The intent here with the devil automatically succeeding on this check is that if they manage to convince the chain guardian, if they bluff the chain guardian that, oh yeah, we need to get this one, for a particular reason, then the chain guardian can actually just go get it for them. It's just, this is it. Quick as that. That's actually the easiest way to find that contract. So, um, most likely, if your players are anything like mine, they might take some time in the vault, or for whatever reason, it's likely that security will arrive while the players are in the vault. If they are on the chain, if they are inside the vault, there's no reason for the security to try to get in there. It, that's gonna, I think, be a death trap for the players. They'll probably wait outside, or if they don't hear anything, they might go and search all the entrances to make sure, have they escaped again. But i- in order to keep things moving smoothly, I'd recommend only introducing security once the characters have an easy path to get to the elevator. That's what that way they can run away, and they can get out of there much faster than grinding through all of the combat involved with defeating the security. Um, I also got a question as to, what if the players mess up the heist entirely? What if they completely biff it and they need to escape? Set off the alarm. They triggered all kinds of security measures. Can they try again? And my answer to that would be, honestly, if you've sunk in a fair bit of time into this, um, probably not. And I sort of talked to that at the beginning of this document, where the people who give the heist as a quest, they're not too fussed if the players fail. So you can maybe say that to the players, to console them that that's not the end of the world. If they sort of biff it right at the beginning, um, I'd say then, yeah, just let them try again. You don't really need to change anything mechanically too much. You might just make it harder for them to uh, bluff their way by, or convince them once they have the contract, or if they've decided, what, there's no way we're getting this contract. There's too many people. We gotta get out. Um, they need to get into the elevators and leave via one of the exits. Now, they might be tempted to go to ground floor. However, that is not where the airship is, so they should be aware that if they go to the ground floor, they will have to escape on foot, which involves running a lot, and they will have to run through the keepers of the peace. Um, so that's a consideration for them to make. They can try jumping off of the they can try jumping off of the employee entrance. Not really a good idea. The natural inclination would be to go back through the visitor's entrance, and that way they can get through their airship a bit faster. Now, how do you, as a dungeon master, convince them to do that? That's not really up to you, but it's important for you to, when they're making those deliberations, give them the contextual information that their characters might have. So, remind them that their airship is on the catwalk level. So if they want to get there, the easiest way will be through the visitor's entrance. If they don't have the air, they also remind them that when they got there by airship, and it was a bit of a lengthy travel, and it might be a very long way on foot. And that's the way you can sort of guide their decision, by giving them important information. And if they decide that, what, no, we're going to go through the service entrance, let them do that. They might get captured, and, that's on them. A consideration for how long this adventure could be, if the players have already had two combat encounters, escaping the building should be as smooth as possible, and you don't really want to introduce an element of combat um, until they get back on the airship again. So you can make a show of security chasing after them, or the elevator doors closing right before the hounds get to them. That's what I did. Um, that's what I would recommend. If they've only had one combat encounter, again, depending on how much time you have left, because the escape section will probably take about an hour. Um, The escape section with the airship will probably take about an hour for the combat to run. So keep that in mind um, when you're deciding, what to throw at them while they're escaping. That's why this section is a little bit shorter, um, because the in terms of escaping the building, I believe that it should be a simple matter of just taking the elevator to the floor and just booking it. You just run out of there, and there's not really necessarily too much to get in the way of that happening. However, on the airship, um, this is where you can have some real fun. Um, if you have if you have the full hour, I recommend throwing two imps and one spine devil on the first round of combat, and then on the second round of combat, adding another imp and spine devil. Um, all of these flying creatures should be trying primarily to break the gems on the airship. So this little section here talks about the airship. The hull has 50 points. The gems, which allow the airship to fly, there are two on the front, one on the front and one on the back. They have 10 hit points and an armor class of 15. The imps and the spine devils know how the airship operates, and so they will be trying to sink the airship by attacking the gems. Um, if the airship crashes, or let's say if they break one gem, it says it descends at 60 feet per round, um, and deals 3d6 damage to any creature on board. I recommend having a dex save. I probably should have added this in here, but a dex save for half as much damage. And if they fail the dex save, they fall prone. If they succeed, they take half damage, and they're not prone. Um, when if it just straight falls out of the sky, there's some guidance on Xanathar's guide, but essentially the moment they get attacked, the conductor of the airship should be, trying to bring the airship down. The catwalk is a few hundred feet off of the ground, so they might be bringing it down slowly. And indeed, they probably get a bit closer to the ground before combat even starts, just as the devils are catching up to the airship. If they don't sink the airship, your players are in the clear. Smooth sailing, little narrative outro, go right into the epilogue. If the airship is damaged and sinks, then I'd recommend, if the imps and the spine devils are defeated, even if the airship sinks or or crashes into the ground, um, you probably don't want to get them into combat with this keepers of the peace or the Sharn Watch or whatever other faction that your setting has, um, but try to emphasize that they are looking for them. They don't exactly know where they are yet, but they're converging in, and so there's still a possibility for the characters to get away without any combat. Um, that's what I would recommend. It sort of reinforces the feeling of like, oh, we're getting away, as opposed to, yep, we're just gonna murder. That's less heisty. Running away, hiding, that's the good stuff. Um, And finally, the epilogue. So this is meant to just be, a description type thing where the DM says, "Oh, this is what happens." Um, this is the part where if you have another adventure that you want to run, I'd recommend taking some time in advance to figure out how to connect the two. Um, but in general, if you're happy with this adventure how it is, um, if they're captured by the keepers of the peace, they should be interrogated, and maybe there is somebody in prison with them who gives them another quest. If you wanted to, start writing your own stuff, maybe it's a prison break adventure, or they get bailed out by somebody who says, you know what, now I own you. You're gonna have to do this quest for me. If the party is captured by Veritas Corporation, they are interrogated in the vault by various devils to determine why they were sent to the compound, what they were trying to do. Um, if you'd like, maybe Veritas Corporation can give them the next quest and say, if you don't want us to report you to the authorities, you're going to do this quest for us. And, this is what it is. And of course, if the party successfully escapes on the airship, or the airship crashes and they get away, the whoever the patron is, if you're running it as is, the Hail Hands, they can give them the next quest, or maybe they can leave Zigna. Somebody else comes in and gives them, so, oh, I need you to go to this location, get me whatever, and whatever you'd like to run. It's up to you. I will be making uh, another adventure that is set within Zigna in a little bit. I'll be making some other adventures before then. It's not going to be a direct sequel to this one, so don't hold your breath for that one. But if you'd like to run that one and you ran this one, let me know, and I'm always happy to help you connect them in any way. Um, and in general, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Um, I love talking about this stuff. And the rewards, I wouldn't worry too much about this if you're just running this as a one shot. But if you are connecting this to another adventure, or this is part of a longer form, then you can give them 7,900 XP for combat. And this is just sort of uh, accounts for most likely what kind of combat encounters they run, as well as a little bit of exploration. And if you like, you can also give them a favor from the Hail Hands. So what that might be is they might give them a magic item. They might give them a couple minor, consumables like potions and whatnot. They might put them in contact with an NPC who has another quest for them. Um, they might decide that, you know what, if you're in trouble in the future, maybe we'll help you out if you end up running in Zigna, or if this is in Sharn or another setting like that. So these are the three battle maps. Um, this is the vault area, which we'll get to when needed. This is the reception area, which again I will get to when that section comes up. And this is the airship. Now, these don't actually have grids on them, but they do have the dimensions up in the corner. So this is 30 by 20. So when you put it into your virtual tabletop, like Roll20, for example, you just need to drag it and resize it such that it's 30 squares by 20 squares, and it will fit perfectly, guaranteed. That's how I run it. So the first one I'm going to show you is the reception area. So this area right here, this is the catwalk. This is where the players might enter the visitors area. This is the reception desk. This is where the receptionist imp is going to be sitting, or on this little book stand. The other two invisible imps, you could put them on the ceiling somewhere up here and over here. And these are the elevators. These are the elevators. So this is a little bit of extra seating in there. Um, and this is a little wooden wall to just sort of block a view of the elevators to have a nice backdrop for the reception area. The second battle map that I'm going to show you is the vault. So these are again the two elevators. This is the long hallway that is mentioned. And this right here, this area is the wall of chains. The chain devil will probably start on this side, and they wouldn't be able to see past the chain wall. And once the chain devil hears something on the other side, then it might come through and investigate, what's going on. And these are um, the cages that hold the damned wretches that are the infernal contracts, and it extends indefinitely, which is why this is sort of cut off um, on this particular battle map. And finally, we have the airship. So this is the front of the airship. This is the back of the airship. These are some stairs up to the sort of upper deck, even though there's, there are no other levels to the ship. There's just a few stairs, and this is a little railing to make sure you don't fall over. Um, yeah, pretty straightforward airship. This is the ore you used to steer the ship. So the gems would be, you can't see them, but there would be one here below sightline, and then there'd be one under here. And so when the devils fly in from this side, probably chasing, they'll try to make their way. They might make their way under the ship. That's probably a more tactical way of getting there, to avoid getting shot by spells or crossbows or whatnots. So next, I'm going to give you the music recommendations that I have. So I was going for, as I mentioned in the overview video, I was inspired by Cyberpunk 2077 when I was watching the trailer videos and all of that. and so I wanted to run a MagicPunk adventure. And so the music that I envision for this is a sort of dark synth wave. There are a couple of YouTube playlists that I had found, or YouTube videos that I had found, which I will link in the description. This one is the Cyberpunk 2077 radio mix. This is what I had for combat music. This is more combat music, tech noir too. um, this is again more combat music. I find that combat music works well, one for combat, and two um, for whenever the players are running for something, to make sure just to keep the energy levels up, the stress levels up. And when the players are not in combat and they are not running from anything, then that's when you can play Night Lapse, a chill synthwave mix to set still a sort of modern feel without trying to give them a heart attack. If you have any more questions that I haven't answered, please leave a comment on the video. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at studios_fever. If you want to talk to me live about any of my adventures or about D&D in general, I stream on Twitch every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So feel free to drop in there and say hello at twitch.tv/FeverDreamStudios. The link to all of these will be in the description. So I wish you the best of luck. I would love to hear how you found the adventure, what your experience was with it. So feel free to comment that as well. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about what you guys have done with this. So good luck and yeah, take care. Yeah. Oh, look at that volcano. Nice. 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 Yep. Yep.